السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الحمد لله وكفى والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا المصطفى صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وأصحابه وبارك وسلم تسليما كثيرا كثيرا. أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ولو شئنا لآتينا كل نفس هداها ولكن حق القول مني لأملأن جهنم من الجنة والناس أجمعين. صدق الله العظيم. Ulama Kiram, most respected brothers and also sisters listening over the receivers. Recently I've been getting many telephonic calls, letters, emails, and I'm not talking about those people who are far away from Deen. I'm not talking about those people who have got no knowledge of what Deen is, who Allah Ta'ala is. They don't believe. I'm not talking about the disbelievers. I'm talking about those who are having genuine doubts. They are not only believers, but they are good believers. But Shaitan does not give up his effort to mislead, misdirect. Shaitan is our avowed enemy, and he will continue his efforts. And he will especially target those people who are coming towards Deen. Now this is a letter from a university student who alhamdulillah made up his mind to make his Islah, and as soon as he started progressing, now this is what happens. I am studying at a certain university. I have been listening to your talks on tapes and CDs, some of your majlis talks and some of your talks given at the madrasa. They have been extremely beneficial, and every time I feel I needed to ask you something, I receive my answer from one of your talks. That is why I did not write to you, alhamdulillah. I have been lending out your talks to some of my friends at the university, and they have found it very helpful in their Islah. I want to ask you to please make special dua for me that I can become just like you. So whenever they write a thing like that, I say not like me, like the awliya siddiqeen. I have a deep-hearted yearning to tell people about Allah now that I have been listening to your talks and have been changing my life. Then he goes on, and after that, then he says, my brother was showing me his computer version of Bukhari Sharif, and I happened to come across the chapter on Taqdeer. I read the hadith in that chapter not with the intention of interpreting or analyzing it, but just so that maybe I could benefit somehow from that chapter. What I read, that Iman, our actions and our place in Jannah and Jahannam has all been preordained. This made me very depressed. I could not understand that how any human being, believer or not, could be held accountable for his life if he had no choice in anything. If he had no choice, then why should he be held accountable? Reading this in the Bukhari Sharif decreased my desire to do good deeds, since I thought that I could do all the good deeds in the world, but if I am destined for Jahannam, then what is the point? Related to this issue, I have also heard statements like, it is only through the mercy of Allah Ta'ala that such a person has been able to do such and such a good thing. Or that it is through the grace of Allah Ta'ala that such person has got hidayah. Then what about the effort on his part? If hidayah and if Jannah and Jahannam are all from Allah Ta'ala, then it negates the doing of any actions. Now that was the first part. Then he talks about his iman, sometimes is strong and sometimes is weak, and things of that nature. So I thought instead of just the writer benefiting, if I can get across to my other friends who are here and those that are listening, because these doubts seem to be creeping in many people's minds. First of all, of course, you can see that what started causing him this depressed state and what started causing him this loss of interest in actions and amal was not some book that he read of some communist. It was not some book that he read of some atheist. It was not some book that he read of some scholar who is a deviant. What he read was Bukhari Sharif. Listen carefully to what I am telling you. What he read was Bukhari Sharif. The most authentic book after Kitabullah is Bukhari Sharif. Now where did his doubt come from? Where did that going off beat and off track come from? It came from his reading of Bukhari Sharif. So now will we say that now you mustn't read Bukhari Sharif? Because his doubts came from there. But this is clear indication that the Quran Sharif or Bukhari Sharif or any other kitab, if the person does not have an ustad or the person does not have a proper understanding or background, then it can sometimes be a cause of misguidance. And sometimes it will be a cause of guidance. Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala, with regards to the Quran Sharif itself, He says, Yahdillahu, Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala gives hidayat with the Quran Sharif. And again, many places we learn that Allah Ta'ala misguides also with the Quran Sharif. Meaning that the person, if he is not reading the Quran Sharif with an open mind, with the azmat of Allah Ta'ala, with the understanding that is required, or with the intention of getting hidayat, if he is reading the Quran Sharif to find ayats which will somehow justify his evil actions and deeds, so then it is the Quran Sharif that will misguide him. So recently there have been translations that are printed of Bukhari Sharif, Muslim Sharif, Tirmizi Sharif. Now all these are books of Hadith Sharif. And there is no doubt that they are authentic Hadiths. But if the Sahaba Kiram, the companions of Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam, had to keep on questioning and asking Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam with regards to so many things, they were masters in the Arabic language. Or there were so many hadiths which outwardly looked conflicting. So there is a whole science of reconciliation of hadiths. Certain things were said in the early days of Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam's preaching of Islam. Certain things came later. Now the science of reconciliation, now all these things are not in those translations that are being given. So the person picks up the translation of the Quran of the Bukhari Sharif, and now he reads different hadiths and he takes them completely out of context and then comes to conclusions and says that what I am quoting is the Bukhari Sharif. No doubt the hadith is in Bukhari Sharif, but what does it mean? In what context it was mentioned? Now all that you will have to know, that science of Hadith Sharif. There is just a translation. So it is just like a book of medicine. Now the book of medicine, there are so many books on medicine, but for whom are they? Every book on medicine is not for the general public. There are so many different definitions there. There are so many different things that have been mentioned in those books which we will have absolutely no knowledge of. And if we have to start making operations, performing operations after reading those books, then there will be no place left in Brook Street Cemetery or Brown Street Cemetery or anywhere else. So there are certain books even of tasawwuf which are not for the awam, it is not for the general public, it is for those who are mashayikh, for those who will be using it for the islah of others. They understand what terms are used there, because there are certain kafiyat, certain feelings, certain experiences which the person hasn't gone through, will not understand, and he may run into conclusions that this is kufar, na'uzubillah. So therefore, a person must be very careful. It's not that just because they are distributing free Bukhari Sharif from Madinah Sharif and Makkah Sharif, so therefore every person brings a copy, and after that he starts opening any chapter that he feels like and starts reading.